Welcome back to another episode of the Circle of Knowledge podcast. I am your host, Jon Kovach Jr., founder of the Champion Circle Networking Association. I am really excited to introduce to you guys today one of my guests. But before we get into that, just wanted to remind all of you of the awesomeness happening in the 13 Steps to Riches book series. Last month, we just released our fifth book in the series, and that book was on the principles of imagination. It was such a fun experience to publish that book in regards to Glenn Lundy was our celebrity guest author. And next up in the series, next month, actually, on May 15th, we'll be launching the book on organized planning. Sorry. And that book is on organized planning with the author and celebrity contributor of Marie Diamond from The Secret, which is, man, I'm so excited to co-author with Marie Diamond. She's featured in The Secret. She's a worldwide renowned feng shui artist and so much more. I can't wait for you guys to read more of the information from that book. But speaking of books and speaking of publishing and speaking of amazing opportunities and connecting, I can't wait to introduce to you guys the guest of the podcast today. And this person has written over 47 books, and she ain't stopping, guys. She's writing every single day. Before I bring her on, I want to just do a little bit of a bio read because this person is amazing. Kimberly Moses is an author of 47 books. She's a minister and she's a publisher. She has two businesses, mainly a publishing company and a beauty business. She is also a full-time YouTuber. Like, other than actually all four of those things, I'm like, come on, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? I can't wait to learn from her. And I'm going to ask her a few questions to give us a little bit of background, but she is an amazing human being connected with God on a great, powerful purpose and mission to teach people and to share with people. Probably one of the most beautiful people I've ever had on my show. And I'm just so excited to introduce you guys to Kimberly Moses. Kimberly, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Jon. I appreciate it. And I just bless God for what he's doing in your life and those divine connections.
Absolutely. I agree with that. My prayers this morning were actually very similar. I felt the need to say thank you for just the connection we build, the good word we're able to share, and through our own personal missions to be able to jive and connect with people throughout the world. God's children, for sure. I'm grateful for that, and I'm excited to chat with you. And I have so many questions because you have so many really interesting areas. You remind me of the entrepreneurial self that I have, where I don't just have one. Some people pick one direction, and some people go in that one direction that becomes that part of their life. But you've got a beauty business, you're in publishing, you're a minister, you're doing so many things, and I can't wait to learn more about that and your background. But I'll ask the first question, which is, how'd you get here? Like where did you come from to do all of these amazing things? And I know it's a loaded question, right?
Yes.
But just tell me how you got here by sharing a little bit about your background.
Yes. So that is a little question, but it's a good question too. So, like, I was not raised in church. We was actually raised Buddhist.
Oh, wow.
And yes. So I didn't hear about the name of Jesus Christ until I got about 12 years old. And my mother wanted to leave the Buddhism religion, and someone put a curse on our family. So within like 2 weeks, all this bad demonic stuff was happening, like car accidents, evil spirits chasing us out of our home, the child protective services trying to take us away from our parents, very traumatic stuff. So my father told his coworker, who happened to be a Christian, what was going on at our home. And his coworker said, you need to go take your family, get them baptized in the name of the Lord Jesus. So my father listened and we got baptized. So at the age of 12, like, we didn't really go to church or whatever like that. We just got baptized, but the evil stopped. Thank God, because Jesus is the curse breaker. So from about 12 and up, I decided to become like a dancer, dancing in the club, living the fast life. And then I heard the devil speak to me one day. He said, you're going to die today. And I felt death, like I was going to die. And I knew that I was about to die because I felt it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to die. I'm 21. I'm too young. I thought I was invincible, right? So around that time, my sister had just got saved, and it was like a domino effect. She got saved, And then she told my father got saved, and my sister and my dad was begging me, please go to church. I said, no, I want to stay in the clubs. I want to live that fast life. And my sister gave me a Bible, and I put the Bible in my seat. And I drove around with this Bible in my front seat of my car for 2 weeks. So that day of the car accident, when the devil told me, you're going to die today, I got in a really, really bad car accident, John. Like, it was so crazy. It was like a slow motion movie. I remember it was raining so hard, and I looked up in the rearview mirror, and I saw a car about to hit me. But I said, no, this car's not going to hit me because it's an empty lane beside me. I was like, they can't be that dumb to hit me, right? So they actually rammed into my car. I had a 4-door sedan, and then the back was gone. The back was smushed all in. So if anybody was in my backseat, they probably would have been dead. So I had a bunch of CDs at the time. Y'all remember the CDs, like the albums, the books? I had a bunch of those.
The sleeve, yeah.
Yep. They was all scattered across the highway. My credit cards were scattered all across the highway. Broken glass was scattered all across the highway. I had braces. Those popped off, which was weird. I had a piercing on my eyebrow. My eyebrow piercing popped out. So that tells you the impact for your braces to pop off. I'm like, okay, God. So I remember jumping out the car hysterical because I thought I was dead. And this lady that hit me, she held me down. She just, I don't know what she did. She hugged me or something to calm me down because I was screaming. So after I got it together, I looked across the street, and the firefighter was there, because the firefighter are the first people that always arrive at the accident. So the firefighter shook his head and looked at the car light. Then he shook his head and looked at me. Then he did something so profound. He picked up the Bible my sister gave me 2 weeks prior, and he handed it to me. He said, here, young lady, this saved your life. And from that moment, I just, okay, I know God is the reason why I'm here. So I didn't want to dance in the club anymore. I did not want to sin anymore. I said, okay. So I was hurt, and I had to wear like this neck brace and go to a chiropractor for like maybe 6-7 months. But in that process of just healing, I went to a church mother's home, one of those older women that really know how to pray, like really, really pray. So I went to her home, and she touched me. She talked to me about tongues, speaking in tongues, right, in the Bible in Acts chapter 2. And she just put her hands on me, laid hands on me, and I started speaking in tongues too. And I was like, oh my God. And then I got baptized, I got saved. So that was the start of my relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. And if I'm going too fast, slow me down, John, because
You're great. I love this pace. This is awesome. Keep going.
Okay. So I was about 21 years old, but since I wasn't raised in the church, I didn't know how to pray. I didn't know how to do any of the spiritual stuff. So I sat in church for 10 years, and people was asking me, do you want to serve? Do you want to volunteer? I was like, no. So I just kept running away from the calling. I didn't know that God wanted me to preach. I was trying to I was a professional student. I was trying to be a medical doctor. I said, God, I just want to be a doctor. So actually being a medical doctor was my idol. I didn't realize at the time. When I said I had so many credit hours, it was crazy. I was like in school for like 12 years, in college for 12 years, just trying to be a doctor. And I just remember,
right,
when God did call me to preach in 2014, I was going through a horrible wilderness experience, John. Like, I lost, my first marriage. I hit rock bottom. I was actually on probation for 3 years. I was suicidal. I didn't have any hope to live.
wow.
And I remember being in jail, and I remember being in the suicide ward in jail, and I could only leave my cell for 1 hour a day, John. And I went to the bookshelf, and that's the only thing I could do was read. So I picked up this book, and the book was called Doing His Time, talking about doing God's time. And it was full of God's love, His mercy, His grace. And I began to read it. I just began to cry so hard. And then I start feeling God again. I was like, God, I haven't felt you like this in years, like His presence. And then I began to hear Him speak to me, and He began to minister to me like, it's not over for you. I love you. I have a great plan for your life. And I needed to hear that because I thought it was over for me because I was in jail. So when I got out of jail, then that was the turning point in my life. That's when God began to deal with me like, you have to preach. I was like, who's going to preach? You. So I began to, tell everybody about Jesus. Doors began to open up for me to minister. And then God began to deal with me like, you have to start writing books. I said, who's going to start writing books? So then God gave me instructions with that. He told me to start a blog, which is a website. So I actually did a website, and I was too ashamed to put my name in it. I didn't want nobody to know it was me that was going through that. So I put this alias up the whole blogs, right? Because I was too ashamed. And God said, take that off and put it inside of a book. So that's what I did. So I put all that stuff inside of a book. And then God said, okay, good. Now here's a list of 21 books. I said, 21 books, God, for real? So it took me maybe a few years to write those 21 books, but I did it. So after I finished the 21 books, God said, you're not done yet. So then he began to give me different kind of books, children's books, not Christian, like fiction novels and some other kind of books, you know, but they're all point back to Jesus. So that's kind of my story.
I love it. And in the meantime, out of all these things, car accidents, dance, school, college, doctor, all of these things, you have a passion, and you have a passion for something you've been doing since you were really, really young, which is writing, right?
Yes, writing, yes.
And tell me more about that, because you've written 47 books. You're on your way up to more. You've published more than that. Tell me a little bit more about the writing side of your life, because that's got to be a place where you process. It's got to be a place where you're expressing, but it's also a place of where you're just dumping truth or creating something. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that side to Kimberly.
Yes, and I love that question, because I think it maybe a few months ago, God showed me that I actually wrote my first book when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
I didn't even realize that, because, you know, like in life, you get buried, those memories. But I just remember just worshiping one day, and I began to get flashbacks. And I remember, I think I was in like the 3rd grade, and we had to illustrate, we had to bind our own book together and write a little story. And I remember the teacher was like, Kimberly did the best, and she put me in the front of the classroom and she read my book. She was choosing one student, and I actually won the contest. I was like, wow, God. And it was about a dog eating some cookies. That's all I remember. Right? I don't know the name or not, but I know that my mother kept it. My mother has like a bunch of papers from when I was a child, so I need to go over her house and find that. But I think I started at that age. I remember when I was in the teenage years, I wasn't saved, living for God then, but I used to write these long crazy stories. And that's actually what my first book was about, these fiction stories, but I didn't want to put my name in it, you know, even though it was based around truth. I had a hint of the truth, but it was fiction. So I remember in college, I would write like these 25, 30-page research papers. So God was preparing me even in college to even write. So I remember just getting out of jail, being on probation, and God began to deal with me to write. And I remember it was so therapeutic for me, because I remember just wanting to die. I didn't want to live anymore. And I remember praying. I said, God, kill me now. And God spoke to me. He said, it's not your time to die yet. I heard a voice, a deep voice. It's not your time to die yet. You got work to do. And that shook off that discouragement and that suicide off of me. I said, you're right. I do got work to do. And I got on the computer, and I remember just crying, like tears in my eyes, just crying the whole time, you know, just typing these books. And then when I got done writing some of these books, people was like, wow, I read your book, and I began to cry the whole time. I read your book, and I began to repent before God for thinking the wrong thing, or having jealousy, or, you know, being angry at, you know, my ex-boyfriend or something, you know, stuff like that. And I was like, wow, God, I was like, it's touching people's lives. Like, wow, you do have a plan for me. Like, thank you, Lord, for using me when I thought my life was over. So I began to write, and it was just therapeutic for me. And I actually got the healing I needed from being rejected, broken, lonely. I got the deliverance that God promised me just writing. And it's just a way, again, like you said, it's a way to express myself. So much creativity comes out. Like, not only do I write my books, but I also ghostwrite. I work with pastors and things like that. They're too busy, that's traveling. They'll call me like, can you help me? So it's like God makes me a solutionist with that. Like, they're stuck. Like, I want to write a book about the woman at the well. And then they'll tell me their ideas. I'm like, oh, okay. And God just downloads me the whole outline. I'm like, chapter 1 would be about this, chapter 2 about that, 3. So I actually write their books. I have done that for several pastors that were too busy. So it just for me, it's a way to express myself, because I just like to create, and God is the best creator. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth and everything we see today, right? So
I love that. I want to add something to that. And I too am religious, and we don't really do much religious talk on the show anyways, but it's refreshing to bring him back in, because again, he is the ultimate creator. And as creators, as he created us, right? The creation that we get to do is to follow his plan, to follow his ideas, follow what it is that we can do with the special skills and talents and abilities that he's given us. And I love that. And you've done a great job with that. And I want to transition and ask you a little bit more about the other businesses you have. Obviously, we talked about the publishing a little. We'll get more into that, but talk about the beauty business, because it's rare. It's rare that somebody is in ministry, but as somebody is also in entrepreneurship, doing something completely different than the ministry. Tell us a little bit about your beauty business.
Yes, so it was actually prophesied to me like during my wilderness experience in like 2014. And like I have always knew how to do hair. Like I remember teaching my own self how to braid hair. And it was so
Cool.
funny. Like I think I started practicing on myself from like maybe 14. And I remember getting so good at doing cornrows, the braids. And then my teachers were coming to me, my classmates were coming to me. And I remember, you know, we didn't grow up with a lot of money. So my teeth were like really jacked up then. I know it's horrible. So I remember just saving up for the whole summer braiding. And I think maybe at 14 years old, I made like $1,500. I bought my first car with that money. And sorry, my husband got in there. Yeah.
Welcome.
He said hi. John said hi and welcome. And he said welcome. Yeah. So I brought my first car with that. And then when I got a little older, I brought my braces with that money just from braiding hair. So everybody thought I was going to go to cosmetology school, but I went the wrong route to like dancing and all that. And I just lost my way. So I had the skill set. So I remember about 2014, fast forward, I began to see myself selling lipstick. I began to see myself like with the eyeshadow and the lashes. So in the pandemic, the Lord began to speak to me and he began to tell me like, this is the time, go ahead and start the t-shirt line, go ahead and start the makeup line. And I was like, you want me to do this? So I stepped out and I launched the beauty business. And my brand is Rejoicing or Rejoice Essential. So I call it Rejoicing Beauty. That's the name of my makeup brand. So it was amazing as I just put it out there. People's like, oh, I love your shirt. And they got the shirt when I would teach on the video or minister on the camera. Like, oh, like who did your makeup? And I'm like, well, I got this from my store. Like, check my store, like on my YouTube channel. Like, oh, and it's just a plug. I put plugs in. So I just thank God it just brought another stream of income in my life where I didn't have to struggle during the pandemic because, the pandemic, a lot of stores that was here like 100 years plus, they're no longer here anymore. And people got laid off and couldn't find work. So here's God giving me a business, like, and it's I've been doing it since 2020. I launched that business 2020. Yep.
That's awesome. I'm so interested in just how that all came to be. Thank you for telling me a little bit more about that story. And for my listeners, of course, tell us a little bit more about you do a little YouTubing too. It sounds like.
Yes.
Full-time little YouTubing, right? Tell us about that. Is it featuring the beauty products, or what do you do on that? And I know that your brand is all about the rejoice, and I love that. So I'd love to hear more about that as well. But tell us about the YouTubing you do.
Yeah, so I actually I have my own ministry YouTube channel, which is my name, Kimberly Moses. Then I have another YouTube channel, which it's like a review channel and a beauty channel, food. It's like all three in one. And that's called Kimberly's Finds, like I'm finding things. And recently I lost about 40 pounds. Me and my husband, we went to the keto lifestyle. So I put my weight loss journey, me exercising, the foods I like to eat on my keto journey. I put that on that channel, Kimberly's Finds, and all that beauty stuff, me doing my makeup and all that on that. And then I have another YouTube channel I share with my husband, which is called Team Moses, our last name, Team Moses Vlogs. And we just take people into our lives about our children, about us traveling, about us going out on dates and eating. And we actually started it when we were courting. It's our journey to the altar, we call it. And I was living in Colorado, he was living here in South Carolina, and we was video chatting on the vlog and meeting like that. So it was just those are the channels I have. But as far as my brand, I focus more on Kimberly's Finds, that YouTube channel right there, because it's a way that I can express myself more. Because for ministry, many people don't want to hear that. I just want to only hear the word. I don't want to hear that on that. So I'm I feel like Kimberly's Fine reaches more people, you know, and I can talk about the beauty. I can talk about my weight loss. I can talk about different things like that.
And you mentioned keto, but it's a lot more than just diet. There's so much
Yeah.
more mental, there's so much more spiritual that goes into weight loss. Congratulations on you and
Thank
your
you.
it sounds like your husband was working on it too.
Yes.
Just congratulations on that. What was one of the biggest things you learned about the weight loss journey? And are you guys still doing that? Have you transitioned out to a different lifestyle? What are you guys doing right now?
Yeah, like I like what you said. It's to me, it's a lifestyle. And I remember we started in 2020, and I remember working out for 2 years, and I was like the heaviest I was ever in my life, and I could not lose any weight. So I didn't lose weight until I started cutting back my carbs. So I'm cutting back that sugar, and then the weight just started falling off. I was like, wow. So now I'm like, I'm intentional about just not eating too much rice. You know, I have substitutes. I do cauliflower rice. If I eat tortillas, I do a low carb tortilla. I'm still eating tortillas, but it's just a low carb version. If I eat bread, I eat keto bread. Like, you have so many options. And I love it that I can just eat without gaining the weight. Because I remember I got to the point where I was starting to feel bad in my body. Like, my back was hurting me. And I was like, I'm too young for back pain, you know. I'm not even 40 yet, you know. And then my knees was hurting. I remember like traveling on the airplanes to go, you know, to go minister or just to go travel. And I was have all this stomach problems. I'm like, you know, gastrointestinal problems. And I was like, I never had issues. I travel all the time, but I start feeling bad in my body. And I just remember when I lost the weight, I started feeling good in my stomach. My knees didn't hurt no more. My back didn't hurt no more. So it's a lifestyle change. I don't think of it like, you know, it's grueling, because you can still eat good on keto. They got so many replacements. If you season it right, you get a good recipe, you know, I don't crave French fries. I used to eat French fries every day. I don't crave that anymore because I found substitutes, you know,
Right.
like, let me show you. I'm sorry, I got scared.
Oh, there you go.
Pork rinds. Yeah. I look, the pork rinds or pork skins, they're zero net carbs. So I can take these pork rinds and dip them in some like cheese dip, or, you know, like you would do potato chips, and I'm good at, and the scale don't move, and I'm still maintaining my weight. So
That's awesome. Well, thank you. I know you probably weren't expecting to talk about that on the show, but
yeah.
that stuff matters to me, and it matters to my audience, because one of the things I teach on this show, Kimberly, is a well-roundedness, right? And I want people to see that it's okay to have balances and unbalances in their lives. It's just normal. It's part of the process. But whatever your unbalances are, make sure that you're feeding or fueling them with the other overly balanced pieces of your life. And we do that through personal development. We do that through professional development. We do that through, and I'd say personal development is one of those realms where religion, faith, and all of that fit into, and so much more. And so I'm so grateful for what you've shared about that. I'd like to kind of pass the mic back over to you and just ask you the household question, which is, you know, what knowledge, what's a golden nugget of knowledge of all the experiences you've had? And by the way, you guys seem pretty young. I don't know how young you are, but you guys seem really young. And I can tell that you've already lived like 2 or 3 lives in the small, short life that you've lived. And I know that you know quite a bit. Like, there's so many things that you've probably learned in the process that people probably don't know. So what's a nugget of knowledge that you can share with my audience to help them, you know, better their lives or understand more, and then we can actually invite them to take action on? What's a nugget of knowledge you'd like to share?
And well, I feel like what I'm going to say, I feel like it can apply to many things. Like for entrepreneurship, I feel like when you have a vision, many people may not understand what you're doing right now before they catch on, but continue to build regardless of who supports you and who doesn't support you, how many likes you get, how many followers, because you got to stay true to the vision, and just know that it is going to be worth it. People may not understand it right now, but you know, I believe that God gave it to us to solve problems, to help people on this journey. So continue to build regardless of the support. And I just want to encourage you guys to keep going. Like, I just remember when it comes to writing books, I remember when I wrote my first book, people brought my book, I think, out of sympathy. Like, oh my gosh, she wrote a book, let me support her. But then when they found out what it was about, like, nah, because like most of the people that I knew they weren't, into God or things like that, because I just got saved myself. So that's like, nah. So my second book, nobody wanted to buy the book, John. It sat on the shelf for it sat on the shelf for 1 year before
Wow.
somebody brought my book. So it was so discouraging for me, and I wanted to quit. You cannot ever quit. It's because, remember, I told you I had 21 books to write, and
Yeah.
this was one of the books on the list. And I was like, okay, are you sure I'm supposed to write books? Like, God, are you sure? But I remember, like, maybe 2 or 3 years later, that book was just flying off the shelf. It's about overcoming your emotions with prayer, because many of us, we have these roller coaster cycles. We happy one day, sad the next day, we depressed, suicidal, all kind of things, discouraged. So people were just buying this book like, oh my gosh, this book is helping me. And I just remember feeling encouraged by that, like, wow, I'm so happy I did not quit. Because if I would have quit on that second book, I would not have 47 books. So don't you ever quit, even if people don't support you, because one day they will. And don't despise small beginnings. You may be small right now, but one day people are going to catch on to what you're doing. Your books, your projects, your conferences. Just continue to be great, because there's greatness in the inside of you.
I love that. Wow. I just felt like I got the gospel in one hit. That was amazing. Oh, I appreciate that. And I think my listeners will too. I think that they'll understand that there's so much out there for us to obtain. There's so much for us to learn.
Yes.
If you were encouraging my listeners to take just like one step of action, like one thing to make their life a little bit better, whether it's entrepreneurial based, whether it's spiritually based, whether it's personally based or relationship, whatever, what would be one action step that you would encourage them to take today?
I say ignore your critics. Ignore your critics, because you're going to have those people that don't like you for no reason. You're going to have haters. Like, I have a magazine, and I know I work hard on the magazine. Every month, I'm putting out something every month. It takes a lot of work to do a magazine, to meet that deadline on the first of the month. And I remember somebody on my Facebook page, they don't know me. They don't know how hard I work. They don't know everything that's involved to put out a magazine. And they're gonna say boo, and they said something really negative. I was like, really? And I just ignored them, because I said, God, I'm working hard on this, and I can't let that stuff get inside of me. So don't let the negativity in your critics' words get inside of you. Just continue to keep going. And not everybody's gonna like you, but for 10 people that don't like you, God will send 100 people to like you, or you know what I'm saying? So, and that is so true. Sometimes you're going to have jealousy around you, but keep going. You're going to have people that pray against you or wish you would fail so they can take your place, but keep going, because what is for you is for you, and nobody can they can try to take it, but they can't take it, because it is for you. That space is for you. That platform is for you. The opportunity is for you. It doesn't matter if they can try to do what they want to do, but it's not going to work, right? The weapon may form, but it's not going to prosper. It's not going to work. So continue to go forward, regardless of your haters and your spectators.
Awesome counsel. I love that. That was amazing. Thank you so much. I want to encourage my listeners to go buy one of your books or check you out or find ways to connect with you. You mentioned that all your books are available on Amazon. Just go to Kimberly Moses. You can also find Kimberly on YouTube. And she does a bunch of stuff there. She does her ministry there. She does a lot of her beauty product stuff there too. That's phenomenal. And are there any other ways, or would you like to point my listeners into another location to connect with you?
Yeah, you can just follow me on Facebook, and it's my name, Kimberly Moses. I'm on there like every day. Like, I feel like I'm a full-time Facebooker too. I was just joking with my husband recently, like, I'm a full-time Facebooker. So
let me add that to the chat here so that everyone has a chance to get that. Connect with Kimberly Moses on full-time Facebooker.
yes.
That's amazing. Well, Kimberly, thank you again. And I'm grateful. You bring a light of knowledge, you bring a light of truth, and you bring an aspect to I'd say any show, including mine, where God fits. And I think that's so refreshing, because oftentimes in business, it's like the government trying to separate church and state. When people are in business, they're like, keep personal religion out of this. It's like people forget that our beliefs, our faith, our hope, it is our business. It is part of
Yeah.
who we are. And I loved the what you were saying about, it's going to happen to you. You are the perpetuate of the good things coming and the blessings that are about to come. And it's not just always about us. It's not always about ourselves. It's about
That's
who
right.
we serve in the process, who also needs what are probably being, what they're probably seeking for is aspects of their life, their God, their
Yes.
love, and so much more. And I'm grateful for that, because you're obviously an advocate for it. You're obviously a great proponent for it, and it's obvious that God's with you in His life. And I respect that, and I appreciate what you shared with my listeners.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I like how Jesus, when he chose his 12 disciples, I believe they were businessmen, like a fisherman business. That's a business, and then a tax collector. So I believe Jesus, he is for business. Like you said, I like that. I believe that.
I love that. That was a great nugget. I'm gonna drop the mic on that one.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Oh. Well, guys, go ahead and follow and connect with Kimberly Moses on Facebook. Also, look her up on YouTube and so much more. There's some great stuff there. I've enjoyed this conversation, Kimberly. I'm grateful to know you, and I'm grateful that we got a chance to connect through the awesome world of awesomeness.
Yeah.
And again, I want to just thank you for your time on the show, and thank you for pouring into my listeners. I hope that they take the information today, see the wonderful and different perspective from other people, and that they'll use that as fuel to find the inspiration, the motivation that they need to accomplish all that they're working on, and so much more.
Thank you so much, John, for having me. It was awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And remember, to my listeners, as this is the podcast, everything you need is within you now. It's time to take immediate action. Go and take the knowledge you received today from Kimberly Moses and use it to your advantage to overcome the challenges you're facing and to succeed in every area of your life. This is Jon Kovach Jr. signing out of the Circle of Knowledge podcast. We'll see you until next time.